يشوفوها مثل العيدية. طبعا.
I wanted to raise questions about authenticity, celebrity culture. Why are we so interested in celebrity at the moment, and the part that image making plays in that? So I don't want people to walk by, but I'm not intending to offend either. With my work, I hope to raise questions about authenticity and the very nature of photography itself and moving imagery itself. So my work looks real, but it isn't real. Similarly, photography and moving images look realistic, as if we should be able to believe them, but we can't necessarily. When Princess Diana died, Britain certainly came to a standstill and people mourned her death, but people didn't know her, they only knew her through images. Therefore it struck me that people were mourning an image, not her. People said that they mourned her more than they mourned a close relative of theirs. And I just thought this was an extraordinary phenomenon, this gap between fantasy and the reality of the situation.
The Richard Salmon Gallery has been representing Alison since her degree show at the Royal College of Art, where she first came to prominence with her very famous Diana Dodi in baby portraits.
Photography acts as a kind of teaser, so you can never really get to know the celebrity through a photograph, but you think you know the celebrity through a photograph. So it acts as a kind of catalyst, and it titillizes or tantalizes the viewer. So it makes you want to know the celebrity, it makes you desire the celebrity, it makes the celebrity an object rather than a subject. In a still photograph, you're trying to fire the viewer's imagination in one frame. So all the ingredients have to evoke some further imagination with the viewer. When you're making a short film, I made a little film to music of the Queen trying to teach Prince William how to wave. She waves in a very regal way. And it's a very sort of cute film. It doesn't really have an ending.
Happy times together we keep spending. I wish that every kiss was never ending. But wouldn't it be nice?
Simulation is when you're actually replacing the real thing. So you cannot distinguish between the real thing and the thing that you're replacing. Faking is just feigning, or pretending to be. And I think that's what I try and do. I actually try and replace the real thing. And so it has to look like an identical image. And I think that's when it's the moment, my work is at its most successful, when it looks so real, it looks completely plausible, it takes on an uncanny role.
بالتلفزيون حسيت نفسي أبلع بهالنظارات الغليظة.
هذا انت اعتقدت كان احمد.
هسه شو حنسوي؟
انا راجع المحل الاحذيه وراح احلق الشوارب. تصور مو صدام واحد يشوفوها مثل العيديه.
طبعا.
ممكن يحتفظوا بالبيريات للذكرى.
The gallery that I was showing with had the anti-terrorist squad guarding their building while I had a show of Bin Laden, Saddam Hussein images on show in January. There is a worry. But I do want the work to be thought-provoking. I don't want people to walk by it. I'm not intending to be sensationalist for the sake of being sensationalist.
Are you sure you know what you're doing?
Oh, come on, Dad. Like, you did?
We did what we had to do. No more.
Yeah, well, Saddam's a threat. We're doing what you didn't do. We're cleaning up your mess,
It
okay?
could spiral out of control.
Yeah, no, Dad. We've been here here already. Come on. I'm in charge now. You wimped out.
There are legal, problematics with doing this kind of work. I think it's fine as an artist, and I'm making, raising questions and showing my work in an art gallery, which is, very valid. I think when you're doing a commercial project, it's more, there are other considerations.
It's tremendously accessible because it deals with very popular themes and images, but also it's very theoretical and conceptual at the same time. So it appeals to very different audiences, from specialist art audiences who are into semiotics and issues around representation, to Joe Public, who is kind of stunned by this photograph.
Maybe Brazilian?
No, thank you.
You gradually realize after the initial shock and surprise that it couldn't possibly be a photograph of Monica Lewinsky and Clinton as we see here, because obviously there were private moments, but she has this tendency to allow us to indulge in our fascination for voyeurism and for prying into the lives of the rich and famous.
Gonna make a difference, gonna make it right.
People know they're being tricked by images, and that's why they like the work.
The Brazilian soap opera is part of the Brazilian culture, so it's impossible to do without it in our country.
TV Globo surgiu
TV Globo came from the organization O Globo, which is a newspaper.
Grande jornal do Rio de Janeiro, O Globo. Ela surgiu com uma emissora.
It started out as a regional station, but soon grew into a national network.
Progressivamente foi se transformando numa net. Com o surgimento do
With the advent of satellite technology and the purchase of other existing TV stations, it became the largest network in Brazil.
Esse é o diferencial das novelas.
This is what makes our shows different from anywhere else in the world.
As novelas
We include issues in the stories that are controversial, like drugs, homosexuality, and health issues.
Sobre saúde,
The stories are helpful, and they really make a difference.
sobre todos os problemas que existem no país, eles são levados para a novela, coisa que não acontece nas outras produtoras fora do país.
It's almost like we are providing a service. It's not just about entertainment.
Making a soap is not so important, or it's just part of a process that includes also preparing it properly and giving the right concept to it. The Brazilian soap opera is part of the Brazilian culture, so it's impossible to do without it in our country. We have an audience share here of as much as 70 to 80%.
70% de share, 80% de share, que é absurdo. Podemos dizer que
That's as much as 50 to 60 million viewers.
de espectadores.
Silêncio, carrinho. Ação!
Olha, programa histórico que a gente vai rever hoje, hein?
Por que é histórico?
Everybody stops to watch it because normally it's when people are eating, having their meals. So it's kind of relaxing, and it's about lifestyle. It reflects the way Brazilians are.
It's a cultural thing. People, they just get into it because the subjects most of the time are so normal on regular people, like how to treat old people or love, drugs, and people get into it.
Tá, Serginho e a vara do Boom tem que sair dali, tá? Atenção. Esse é o final. Voltou lá?
My favorite soap opera is Mulheres Apaixonadas. Every character has a different meaning, and it, how can I say, to reach the different kinds of women.
De respeito! Sai da frente, Noêmia! Sai daí! Cachorro vai fazer favela lá naquela bagunça, aqui não!
Não é bem assim, é que o ator...
Some actors have such strong, believable characters here, especially the villainous ones, that people can mistake these characters as being real life. And actors can get into trouble because of this. Out in public, they can be cursed or be given flowers, depending on the type of characters that they play.
Ele é julgado vilão fora do episódio da novela.
Seria impossível você fazer uma história que seja...
Brazil is a country that doesn't have too many heroes or strong characters. So it's important to have characters that people really identify with.
O Brasil é um país muito carente de heróis, de personagens fortes.
É o tal do Tavinho? Ah, pode ser e pode não ser. Odete, diz que o homem era tão bem casado. Carla, tu é danada, hein?
Eu danada?
A gente não tem concorrência, basicamente.
We have no strong competitors. We have the biggest audiences, and so we feel a responsibility toward what we show. Our biggest drive is to show the highest quality shows, reaching the audience's feelings and thoughts. We aren't always successful, but that is what we try to do.
A gente continua brigando para que as pessoas fiquem ligadas na Rede Globo, que elas gostem do que a gente faça.
Bist du sicher?
Natürlich, Schätzchen, ganz sicher.
Jordana, tu заявление или нет?
Оставил, он точно оставил.
Eu sinto que também tem uma coisa de...
Unlike the United States, we use more outdoor shots. We get shots of nature, of scenery, and Brazilian landscapes.
Muito feitas em estúdio. Nós fazemos histórias mais abertas, nós temos muitas externas, nós usamos muito a natureza como paisagem. As nossas histórias são histórias com muitos...
Our plots have a lot more characters. Theirs are pretty much concentrated on only a few characters.
Concentradas em pouquíssimos personagens.
Vocês vão descobrir as vantagens, as desvantagens. Eu e sua mãe, a gente iria adorar ter vocês dois lá em casa.
Grandes distâncias da classe...
The only entertainment that is not costly in Brazil is TV. That's why it's so popular in a very uneven and developing country such as ours.
Tem esse poder aqui no Brasil justamente por essa, digamos, por essa diferença. Quer dizer, a única distração, quer dizer, o único divertimento que não custa dinheiro é a televisão.
Working at a company in Dallas that went out of business, and there was no place else to go, so we started our own thing out of my duplex in Lakewood. We just went through the phone book. We didn't know how to start a company. We just went through the phone book, started calling people, cold calling, you know, say, hey, you want a cartoon?
Don't move, Carl. I can't see you if you don't move.
Sheen, that theory's been discredited.
Run, Carl, run!
I've always loved to draw, so when we started DNA, you know, John a lot of times would write the projects and I would design the characters. And so we both kind of filled a niche that the other one wasn't necessarily trying to fill.
Okay, boys, let's deck the halls. Blitzen 4 to Comet 7. I'm going in. Break left on my mark.
Copy that, Blitzen.
Break in 3, 2, 1, mark!
We did Santa vs. the Snowman, which is a half-hour all CG special. I think it was the first CG holiday special. It was for ABC. And then we did Olive the Other Reindeer, which is an hour-long holiday special for Matt Groening and Fox.
We're not so bad, we're not so fearful. Once you get to know us, we're downright cheerful. We're not so bad, we're not so bad, we're not so bad.
Olive was a chance to actually develop some techniques and try some different styles using the same tool set. I mean, we used the same tools to create Olive that we used on Jimmy Neutron, but they looked nothing alike. My goal was just to sort of, live out my childhood, memories and fantasies that I had, stuff I always wanted to do, when I was a kid but couldn't. Well, now Jimmy can do, and well, how's he going to do that? Well, I'll make him a genius, and then he can do anything.
Come on, everybody, get in formation. Carl, you're too low.
Come on, you stupid butterfly.
Western audiences tend to be sort of jaded. They tend to think of 2D as this thing, that's been defined by Disney over the years as sort of a children's medium. And I think that 3D is sort of new, so that it's a little bit more wide open.
But I'm cool as can be.
Some have used it to sort of spell out the death of 2D traditional, which I think is silly. It's just depending on how you use the medium. I mean, I think that it's coincidentally the more successful animated films have been CG, but I don't think it's necessarily because of the medium. I think it's because of the stories and the characters, and they just happen to be really good.
Not all CG movies do well. I mean, Final Fantasy was a pretty big flop financially, but still it broke a lot of ground technically.
Here they come. It's hard to take a chance on a film that costs $100 million, $150 million. They have to really cover their bets and make sure it appeals to a huge, mass audience. We were able to deliver a film on a really tight budget, really quick turnaround, and I think the more that becomes the norm, studios can take chances.
You've insulted Carl, the smartest and handsomest student in all the land. I sentence you to be his monkey boy for a million years.
We're trying to, relish Jimmy for what he is, but also realize that, his day will come too, and, we'll need to have other things in the pipeline so that we can go beyond that.
We'll see, a more diverse palette of stories because you can make films, less expensive. We'll probably see the first, CG independent films, come out, which have been cost prohibitive, but I think that's going to change.
A lot of stuff we're fed through TV are just downright ridiculous, and I just like the notion of just like subvert something.
Fantastically democratic technology can make a small amount of people a lot of money.
So you want to register now?
This might not be what I hoped for.
I think everyone has a story to tell. That's what it comes down to. Storytelling. Something we as a civilization are in need of. You have to tell a story. I mean, it goes back to the whole fire. You sit around a fire and you tell each other stories. This is just a different flame.
Flash has been, growing to become a very prevalent medium to convey messages and, entertainment on the net. And I was fascinated by that, so I decided to take it upon myself to learn it.
What does thy bidding, my master?
It's a disaster. Skywalker, we're after.
What if he can be turned to the dark side?
Yes, he'd be a powerful ally. Another dark Jedi.
He will join us or die. We got Death Star. We got Death Star. We got Death Star.
I have very strong opinions about, the current mainstream culture. I just think it's fun to sort of deconstruct them and sort of, and just being like the annoying iconoclast.
Now, we've got a fleet of liquor and tobacco trucks coming from the north, and we've got fast food restaurants popping up in every town we can build them in. Walmarts are being constructed by the POWs, and several Home Depots are being built also. Quickie Marts, gas stations, movie theaters, bowling alleys, miniature golf courses, Disneyland, Wally World, and strip clubs are in the works. After these goals have been accomplished, Iraq and its people will be free.
What Flash has allowed them to do is to very inexpensively create these things, and they can get them in front of millions of people at a very low cost, or no cost almost. And so, to them, Flash has changed their life.
This government is taking unprecedented measures to protect our people and defend our homeland. For the first time, we must offer every child in America 3 nuclear missiles.
98% of the people on the internet have the Flash player, which is just like having a CD player at your home, so you can see Flash movies. People actually download the Flash player 2.5 million times a day, every day. So now there's over 500 million people. So once you have that audience of Flash, then that's what artists want, is to express themselves in the medium so that everybody can play it.
I'm here to show my net art piece, Ace Rapple, at the Toronto Online Festival, and see what they're doing here.
I was sort of very interested in how the apple is being sort of taken up as this sort of symbol of having some kind of hidden meaning in it, or there's something deep inside it that we were always kind of intrigued by.
The meaning of your existence just beyond the reach of your perception. I'll hide it in my creation.
I'm actually directing. I got 2 films here and starring in them as well. Yes. So I got one of them is called GID. It's called Gangster Immigrant Dad, which I cast my father as well.
Matter of fact, candy paint Cadillacs kill. So check out the holes my Cadillac fills.
I hope people come out feeling that, making movies is not for a bunch of suits out in Hollywood.